Welcome, this is Shakti Carola Navran, your online astrologer. So today we're meeting on a very special day, the last day of the year. And we're gonna discuss a little and think about it, what to expect in the coming year. So Happy New Year to you. And first of all, I wanted to really thank you for being part of my journey, following me with my forecasts, 1 minute ones, the longer ones. And I always feel very grateful when I hear back from you guys and hear that I do make a difference with the information I'm presenting to you. So that is important to me, and I'm always happy to hear back. So keep connecting with me, so I'm not talking just into the empty space. So today I want to tackle the enormous task of talking about a whole year coming up. And of course, that's quite a challenge. So I was preparing for this all week and I kind of felt overwhelmed, I must say, because there's so much going on. So the art in forecast readings is always to kind of synthesize things into what's the most important information. It's the same in a birth chart, because there's so many layers and so many techniques and tools we can use as astrology. So it's really about kind of using everything you have available and bring it to something practical so you can really apply it. So after preparing all week, I hope I got it together for you. In general, there are two ways to look at the coming year. One way is to look at the beginning moment of the year, which is at midnight on the 31st. So that is astrologically the beginning, the quality of time. So we can make a chart for that, and that chart will give us information what kind of is a potential for the coming year, what wants to play out. And as usual, there's always kind of a low-end possibilities how things can play out and high-end possibilities of how things can play out. And my whole intention with doing this forecast for you is to kind of give you the awareness, the consciousness that you know what is happening in the heavens, the celestial energies coming at you. And with that, you will have better choices available to you. Hi Pali, that's wonderful to see you here. Okay, so one way is to look at that midnight chart, which is really the beginning moment for the year. And I'm going to have a look at that. But then the other very valid perspective is to look at what is happening in the heavens throughout the year. When will the planets form very important, challenging connections? And of course, because I do a lot of forecast readings for you, so I do the daily 1 minute update to just get you ready for the day. I do the weekly overview, which I usually do at this time of the week. So I will give you throughout the year all those specifics. So today I don't want to go too deep into all this kind of confusing information, but I do I'm gonna attempt to discuss what I believe is the most important, what's happening. So of course we have kind of major events, like we have 4 eclipses, we have 4, actually 3 Mercury retrogrades throughout the year. We have 2 Venus retrogrades, we have a Mars retrograde, Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto retrogrades. So these are kind of very poignant moments in time, and I'm going to discuss them in my weekly overviews. But what is really kind of standing out is Jupiter connections. Actually, Jupiter square to Pluto, which is happening March 30th and August 4th, and the Jupiter opposition to Uranus, which is happening March 2nd. So this is something I really like to discuss a little bit more with you before I go over to have a look at that starting chart, the birthing of the year. So whenever we discuss transits in the chart, transits are aspects, connections, so it's kind of a certain degree, a certain connection happening between two symbols, and whatever those symbols, what that archetype is and symbolizes, that needs to be integrated with what is on the other end of the aspects. So of course, for us astrologers, we have the tendency to focus on the challenging aspects, because this is where you want to pay attention, this is where you want to know what's happening and what your choices are. So here throughout the year, one of the main themes is the Jupiter friction in connection with Pluto, the Lord of death and rebirth, the Lord of deep, deep, deep transformation in the sign of Capricorn, the sign of structures, societal structures, the forces in power. So you can imagine if Jupiter, the king of the Roman gods, is battling with the god of the underworld, the god of death and transformation, these are strong forces that are coming at us. So we have two planets in astrology which symbolize the royalty. So we have the sun, symbolizing the main force in the solar system. So the sun is the center, the biggest gravity, giving the light and the energy and life to us here on Earth. So we could say the sun, ruler of Leo, is the king of our solar system. Jupiter is the second symbol for royalty, being looked at the king of the Roman gods. So we look at Jupiter as that gregarious, bigger than life, abundant figure. That's why in the more mainstream astrology we look at Jupiter as the good fortune planet, the planet of money and abundance and fame and successes and all that. And that is a true dimension of it, but of course there's so much more to it. So I want to take a little deeper look into that. So on one level, Jupiter brings into our lives the need for understanding our role, who we are in this life, in the universe. So therefore Jupiter has a lot to do with our ability to lead a meaningful life, to feel like we are in the flow, we make a difference, we contribute. So in order to be able to do that, we always have to keep growing. And I believe that's really one of the main inner potentials Jupiter brings to us, is that invitation to always keep growing mentally, in our understanding of our own self, in the world. And you could envision that as we all are living a certain kind of box made up by our emotions and our mental understandings and filters. So Jupiter is always the invitation to kind of push out of the box. It's the invitation to grow, to expand beyond those limitations. And most of our limitations are really happening in our mind. Remember, our outer world is reflecting what's happening in the inner world. So if we want to change the outer world, we have to look inside, and we have to take that clarity and trying to understand in a deeper way. And that is where true change is happening. So Jupiter always wants us to do that, to either expand through culture shock, like through traveling to India, to Bali, to cultures and countries where people live very different, and that can actually be very, very helpful and sobering, and can help us to be really grateful for many things we do have in our Western culture. So then it can happen mentally, that we keep learning, we keep expanding, we keep questioning our own beliefs, and that's the philosopher aspect of Jupiter. And then of course there's always that seeker aspects, wanting to understand God and life and ourselves. So that's basically what the Jupiter energy is. So Jupiter will be throughout most of 2017 in the relationship-oriented sign of Libra. So it steps into Scorpio in October, which is going to make for a quite intense end of the year. But throughout the year, the ground that expansion wants to happen upon is the relationship field. So relationships and friendships and your heart and how you connect with the world through your heart, your ability to be kind and contribute, that will help you to experience yourself in a meaningful life expression. So Jupiter in Libra will, if you are single, will bring you opportunities to find that special somebody or to make new friends. So of course it always happens and starts first in the mind and our mindset, a certain openness we need to have, but also be open that life might surprise you and bring people into your life you didn't even know you had asked for. So then the Jupiter connection and integration which needs to happen with Pluto, I think that's going to play out mainly in the political landscape. I mean, we have been building up to that with the 7 squares between Uranus and Pluto in the last years. So that was the potential of revolution, of things squeaking and creaking and not working. So all that is really at the forefront of our consciousness. So we have a lot of sense of what things are not working in our country, in our society, in our political landscape. So that has brought upon the election of Trump. So that's our shadow we need to face. And Pluto is all about shadow. Pluto is about really looking under the surface, really acknowledging those darker dimensions. And then Jupiter brings in the possibility to find some meaning in that, to look at the potential in those changes which want to happen and need to happen. I mean, we really do live in a corporate oligarchy. We live in a corporate-driven, greed, profit-driven world these days. And it's not good enough. It's not satisfying. It's not helpful. It's not taking care for all of humanity. So things do need to change. And I believe the Jupiter square to Pluto is kind of really bringing that to the head. Really will show us where things need to change. Also, because Jupiter is an optimistic planet, is coming from that gregarious, bigger-than-life kind of perspective, it seems like that the potential for this year is to really have some breakthrough, especially when the Jupiter is opposing Uranus, March 2nd. So around that time, something might happen, an event might happen, which really brings everything I've talked about really to the forefront. And something really will start changing from that point on. That's truly what I believe. But again, remember that change is mainly happening in our own psyche. And that's really our individual place of power, our point of power, where we step into our own individual life and how we make changes, how we connect with others, how loving, conscious and expanded we are from our soul perspective. So the truth is, remember, we are all, as an individual wave, part of the ocean. So the problem is always if we're only identified with the top of the wave, with our consciousness, our conscious mind, our awareness. So whatever we do in the way of waking up, going deeper, integrating unconscious structures in the belly of the wave, bringing up and widening into that bigger sense of self. And then ultimately tapping into the ocean, really shifting that identification point from me up here, where all the story and the identifications and the trouble happens, to bring that down to where the wave meets the ocean, and we can truly know that we are part of something so much bigger. And this is truly where transformation happens, where we are ecstatic and joyful, and this is where the true magic happens. So I do believe the Jupiter square to Pluto and the opposition to Uranus, it's kind of inviting us to really connect with that deeper truth. So Jupiter is known as the ruler of Sagittarius, but also as a classic ruler of Neptune. So Jupiter really is not only the religious seeker, the one who wants to understand and deepen that wisdom perspective, but is also very spiritually oriented. So you want to make time in your life on a daily basis to touch into what I call the ocean consciousness. So, low end of that connection between Jupiter, Pluto and Uranus is hubris, is overextension, too much of a good thing. I mean, everything, if we do too much of it, can turn bad. Too much food can poison you and make you sluggish and actually feel really miserable. So everything of too much, of unbalanced, unchecked with Jupiter can become a problem. So we will have an awareness of this too much out there in the world, in the political landscape, in what's happening. Again, your PowerPoint is in your personal way of how you conduct your life, how you are with other people. So a good question to ask yourself is, where are you overdoing certain things in your own life, where you're too indulgent with certain structures you're holding, and where you don't trust yourself enough, where you don't live your fullest potential. And that's a high end of Jupiter. Remember, pushing out of the box, living a bigger, more expanded, more meaningful life. Okay, then the Saturn is stepping into Capricorn. So that's kind of happening throughout the year. And now I want to shift over to the here we go. We're shifting over to the chart, the beginning chart of the year. So here it's kind of interesting. If we start the archetypal zodiac with Aries, then the Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and later Saturn will all be in Capricorn. And with that perspective, in the 10th house, a house of mission, of career, of who we are in the world. So this is where we're going to experience a lot of challenges. Saturn confronting us with limitations, with fears, anxieties, but on the high end inviting us to find working structures, working ways to deal with reality. And part of that is making plans to really have something to work towards. Then Pluto in conjunction with the Sun, and Mercury retrograde as well in Capricorn. So that kind of points in the same direction what I was talking about with the Jupiter square Pluto. There's a lot of transformational energy in the air for the coming year, and it has to do with the ruling structures. Capricorn is the government, the power in charge, and Leo as a king is in that sign. So there's a certain rigidity in Capricorn on the low end. So Pluto is not taking no for an answer. When Pluto comes knocking at your door, you better invite him in, because as I always say, Pluto keeps knocking at your door till the house falls down. So Pluto is an energy of transformation, of deep change, of letting go and surrender. You need to invite into your life, because he doesn't take no for an answer, and he keeps knocking till your house falls down around your ears. So it's a very powerful image, actually. So it's a good idea to hold that whenever we have those personal planets coming to us, symbolized in our personal chart, that we need to start a dialogue with those planets, with those energies, with those forces. So just not opening the door doesn't work. So that is the reason why I think astrology is so powerful, that we have a way to understand and to know kind of what's activated, the frequencies of the celestial waves coming at us. And then we have a better choice how we want to deal with it, low end or high end. So those choices are solely dependent on our state of consciousness. So that's where I think astrology forecasts come in, to give you that kind of general idea. And then, of course, you have to bring it back to your personal chart and know where that is happening. Where is that Jupiter I have been talking about? Where is the Pluto and the Uranus in your chart? And you will have an idea how that personally will play out for you. What I can only describe kind of generally here. So if you don't know your chart, you can go to my website, Maui Astrology Reading. I'm gonna put a link down there, and there you can get your birth chart, which will also give you your moon position and your ascendant. So that's a wonderful way, if you're really interested in astrology, to get more specific with the general information I'm presenting here for you. So let's see what else. So we have 4 planets in Capricorn, very impactful for the coming year. In that beginning moment of the chart we're looking at tonight, we have Moon and Venus in Aquarius. So we do have Jupiter in Libra, as I said, through most of the year. And with the Moon-Venus conjunction starting the year, there's an emphasis on relationship. So relationship is always kind of the best, most strong and challenging mirror for who you are and where you are in your personal journey. So relationships are designed to help you to heal, but in order to do that, they often put the finger in the wound for where you have low self-esteem, where you carry certain childhood traumas or prior lifetime karma. So relationship will mirror that back to you. And therefore relationships are always complicated and challenging, but if you get it to work and you find ways to journey and dance together, it's the most satisfying and joyous experience we can have. Back to the Venus and the Moon in Aquarius, there is an emphasis of independence, of freedom, of being free from codependent structures. So Moon in Aquarius is really about finding your own inner guidance, your own individuality. In the Venus in Aquarius really wants you to find out what works for you and your partner in relationships. So in a way, even if we often tempted to either repeat what we looked at, what our parents were doing in their relationships, either we have the tendency to repeat that, or we do just the opposite of that. And both is not, it's not really freedom. So this year will be really a lot about you finding out your own rules you want to live by in your own relationship, intimate relationship, and in your friendships. So sometimes when we have this overhaul, things drop away. We have to let go of people who aren't really on the same frequency we are anymore. So that's a possibility. But ultimately Venus and Moon in Aquarius is really for you to find your own independence, your own center in your heart, from which you step into the world. And if you feel good about yourself and you have a sense of dignity and self-value, that's a frequency you will attract from. Okay, we also have still a wide conjunction between Neptune and the South Node. Neptune today is still in a tight conjunction with Mars, so that brings in the energy to find something to be passionate about. And when the South Node, even if it's only in a wide connection, is in the mix, we have the chance to let go of karmic, habituated way to do things, to just repeat ways of being in the world, which actually probably never work too much. So right now there is a chance to reorient and find that passion and connect with that passion. And whenever Mars is passionate about something, he knows how to go about it. So Mars, the warrior, the one who faces with courage those limiting fears and angst. So keep that in mind, that we have to step forward. We are only expected to do our best at every moment in time, and I believe we all can do that. Okay, yeah, Happy New Year to everybody. I'm so glad to have you here and have this little discussion. So next Saturday we're going to go to the weekly overview, which is much more concrete and in the moment. But I just wanted to give you kind of a general idea what to expect in the coming year. And want to thank you from the bottom of my heart of being here with me on this wonderful journey. And if you like the video, please like it. It helps with the ranking. And make sure you subscribe so I can keep you in the loop with these longer forecast videos. That so if you miss a live presentation, you can still listen to it. So all the best, happy New Year, and namaste and aloha, as we say here on Maui. I share the breath of life with you, and I see you in a week. Aloha, see you soon.